The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi everyone. Today on Aging Horizons, we've got a very special show for you. We're going to be talking with Adrienne Cotton, the Executive Director of the Montana Area Agency on Aging Association. Recently at the 2021 Governor's Conference on Aging, Adrienne led just a fabulous discussion about what we really need in aging in Montana. So stay with us. You'll enjoy it.
No one likes to have to ask for help. It's a courageous act.
Sarah Solomon, Energy Share Coordinator.
Our clients work hard, sometimes at 2 or even 3 jobs, but still struggle to keep the heat on. They're doing everything they can. They're proud and they don't give up. I feel inspired and honored to work together with these Montana families.
To donate, call 888-779-7589 or go to EnergyShareMT.com. Energy Share, you can help your neighbor stay warm.
I have so many questions about power of attorney.
Well, some powers of attorney are for finances and others are for healthcare decisions.
A power of attorney designates an agent who would make decisions on your behalf.
While making a power of attorney, you have the ability to control your agent's power.
You also have the ability to decide when that POA would take effect.
Wait, am I giving away all my rights?
Power of attorney isn't a license to make any decision for you, just those that you've specified.
Your agent should be somebody that's working in your best interest, but it should also be somebody that you would trust.
What if they try to abuse their power?
Protective measures like third-party accounting, secondary signatures, defined spending and gifting limits can help protect against financial exploitation. An agent's powers can always be limited by a customized power of attorney, and they can be revoked by you or the court if the power of attorney is abused.
So carefully drafted estate planning documents can help ensure that your finances are monitored, but not abused.
If you or someone you know is being exploited, please report to Aging Services Bureau at 844-277-9300 or the Legal Service Developer at 1-800-332-2272. This message sponsored by the DPHHS Aging Service Bureau.
Respite care is amazing. If you are capable of doing it, the rewards are beyond measure.
Stephanie Young, respite care provider, on the unexpected benefits of helping people in need.
Being a respite care provider is an amazing experience. It's something that what you give, you get back 100-fold. You receive so much more than you could ever imagine.
To find out how to change lives, including your own, go to respite.mt.gov.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm Kimmy Everman, your host, and today we just have a very special show planned, something that I hope you'll enjoy as much as I did. Recently at our 2021 Governor's Conference on Aging, we had a pre-conference session, and it was a learning session, a talking session, a discussion of what folks really want to see around aging in the state of Montana. And it was a great conversation, and I wanted to share it with you today. I'm going to welcome Adrienne Cotton. Adrienne, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thanks, Kimmy.
And Adrienne, you led this discussion that we're talking about here. You are the Executive Director of the Montana Area Agencies on Aging Association. And as I said, you led this discussion, and I was hoping we could talk about that a bit because it was really very, very profound and moving to me. And maybe we could just start with what I thought was a great opening question. Define being an older Montanan. What did you hear that day?
Yes, thank you, Kimmy. This was an amazing opportunity that was provided by the State Health Department and then the Area Agency on Aging directors across the state. There was the first time in Montana that we were able to provide an aging conference virtually, and we supported the development of hubs across the state. So we had senior centers from all across Montana participating, from Cheshire County, Wheatland, Lewis and Clark, Roundup, everywhere. It was wonderful. So we had hundreds of older adults in on this call for a few hours, providing insights into what it means to age in Montana, and like you said, what it means to be an older adult. And we asked this this question of our pre-conference participants to illustrate how drastically different people define what an older adult is. So some people consider old to be age 55, working and preparing for retirement, and others considered an older Montanan to be someone who's unable to live within their community or who requires extensive services. And when we're talking about how to improve services and supports for our older generation, I think it's really important to nail down exactly who we're talking about, because many individuals across the span of several decades can benefit from aging services, especially when they start in their mid-50s to develop a network of support that can sustain them for many years.
Another thing that was a great topic was dealing with the high level of isolation in our state because we're so rural. And that really does go along with how we define an older Montanan, because I think we have lots and lots of folks in these rural, small areas. They've always lived there, maybe, and are feeling, maybe don't even know how isolated they are. What kind of information did you get on that?
Thanks, Kimmy. Yeah, we asked how isolation is impacting adults in the individual communities because we know it's at a high level that's been exacerbated by COVID-19. One thing we heard frequently is that people are facing difficulties finding a part-time job and becoming incorporated in their community that way. Age discrimination is a significant issue, which is exacerbating that isolation. In Fairview, Montana, we had a woman named Lisa who provided that a major challenge for them is a generational gap between those 55 and older becoming involved in the aging community. Younger adults that fall into this age range tend to disassociate with their older counterparts, and it results in a continuity of care that's broken. And we would enhance community engagement with a more multi-generational approach. In Lincoln County, we heard that a lot of folks like to live off-grid, and it's not uncommon to discover a critical situation when earlier intervention with services and assistance would have allowed someone to remain in their home for longer periods of time. And then the number one issue that we heard about is transportation. Transportation. Many people who are disabled are unable to use public transit or other methods of transportation available, and that means that people can't access groceries, doctor visits, medications. And so when people in our rural communities are living in a rural area without access to the internet or cell phones, and then you add transportation on top of that, it just becomes a really sad and difficult situation that far too many older adults in Montana are facing today.
You know, and that leads me to the question of, we also discussed during that discussion affordable housing in Montana, and that's also kind of bleak in some regards.
Yes, absolutely. And we talked about a few solutions to that, like ADUs. ADUs in rural communities are a key solution to the issues that we're facing. However, in a lot of our cities and towns, zoning regulations don't support development of ADUs. And for your listeners who may not know what an ADU is, it is an accessory dwelling unit, which is a small independent residential dwelling unit often located on the same lot as a standalone home. So these units, ADUs, allow people to live in a more supportive and inclusive environment and close to a network of support. But it's just not something that we have a lot of in Montana. And we also heard that a lot of folks are struggling to find affordable housing because of the proliferation of Airbnbs and VRBOs, especially as more folks have moved to Montana. And it has a negative impact on affordable housing because it's more profitable for existing homeowners to short-term rent their homes rather than to provide housing opportunities for people on a fixed income.
Right. Hey, we have a lot more folks. Stay with us. We just ran out of time, but come on back.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
You mean I can get help paying my prescription drug premiums?
Let me get this straight. I could be eligible for help with my family's prescription premiums even though I own my own home?
And our assets won't be counted.
If you're a Montana resident enrolled in the Medicare prescription drug program, you could be eligible for help paying your premiums. Call or visit the Big Sky RX website today to find out, even if you think you're over income.
What do you know about that? I'm eligible.
When I found out it was diabetes, my first thought was, Barb, you need help. You have to take control of this. There is help. My doctor gave me a phone number. I called and signed up with a diabetes educator. There is help. I have to put blinders on when I walk past the bakery counter. I can feel my blood sugar go up. You succeed a little at a time. If you have diabetes, help is available. You do not have to do it alone.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here talking with Adrienne Cotton today about needs around aging in Montana. Welcome back, Adrienne, good to have you. You know, when we left the last segment, we were talking about affordable housing, something that really, that's one of the things that keeps me awake at night. Talk a little bit about, if you would, what we heard people saying from around the state, and especially I think it was White Sulphur Springs that had a really neat situation going on around housing.
Yeah, thank you, Kimmy. We definitely heard that this is a dire situation in almost all of our towns and communities across the state. And thank you so much for bringing up White Sulphur, because I was so proud of this community. In White Sulphur, Montana, the local senior center owns their own apartments. They have invested in the property that they can offer to older adults. It's an ingenious solution that I would love to evaluate for implementation in other communities. Another solution that we believe in at M4A, Area Agencies on Aging, is advocating for ways to negate the rising property taxes. As the value of property continues to increase across the state of Montana, which we're all seeing, those taxes increase as well. And for folks on a fixed income, that can become problematic. So we are vigorously looking for solutions to that as well.
Super. You know, and I guess a sort of a segue to what's coming up in the future. By the year 2030, we're going to have a pretty big thing going on, right? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, thank you. By the year 2030, Kimmy, we're going to reach a really important milestone for the first time in Montana's history. With this rapid increase in the older population, those over 65 will exceed the number of people under age 18 substantially. So we're working really hard to find ways to handle these changes and make sure that the communities are ready to adapt.
So how are you doing that, Adrienne? When you say that you're working to do that, give us some examples of some of the things you're working on to get to the place where we need to be.
Absolutely. One of the ways that we're working is, again, with advocacy, both at the federal and state level, because supportive services with income eligibility requirements are often not created with rural Montana residents in mind. So, for example, Lisa from Glasgow provided that a lot of people own their own farmland, or they have oil company dividends that are unreliable. This income's unreliable, the benefits aren't tangible, but those assets disqualify them from assistance and force them to sell, relocate, or go without housing. So, for instance, many aging folks who require support to age at home, sometimes even just having a second car at your residence can eliminate you from assistance. In Treasure County, many folks over age 65 are still full-time farmers who have limited family support and for whom transportation remains a critical challenge. So, of course, if you look at it from a congressional level, if you live in a highly populated part of the United States, having a second car can be a luxury. Here in Montana, in Treasure County, it can be a lifeline.
Yeah, and and we want to do the best we can to get as much information out to folks as we can, so that they don't get caught up in that kind of a situation. Our hope is that you'll start planning early. Correct, Adrian?
Absolutely, yes. And I'll also say development of the workforce and supporting a stronger workforce is critical. And I know this issue is widely recognized in many public services, and it's a high priority for Governor Gianforte. But we definitely need to be pushing on this. In Marr County, we heard that 61% of their population is over age 65. 61%. Beautiful, beautiful place to live, no doubt. They offered, though, that if you remove the students from their population, that there is virtually no workforce that remains. And those are situations that we simply have to solve today.
Right. You're absolutely right. Also wanted to touch for a minute on telemedicine, because during the pandemic in the last couple of years, it's become such a huge part of the life of many folks. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yes, thank you so much. We had huge advancements in access to telemedicine from both sides of the aisle in our last legislative session, and the opportunity to access care has never been greater. But we have to dedicate both time and space to telehealth. We need to look for opportunities to partner with local resources who can meet with people in their homes or local community centers. And we heard loud and clear that you have to find people that the local individuals who need the help, people that they can trust, and people who are patient, who understand the knowledge gap, and to focus on technology that's critical and not mess with the extra skills that can sometimes be overwhelming. We heard on the phone that older adults can find technology intimidating and frustrating, and that when we're bringing in high school age students to provide them training, that sometimes these kids get impatient and frustrated right back at them, and we're not adequately training the people who need to provide this gap. And one of my favorite quotes of the day, which I completely agree with, was that nobody makes you feel stupid like electronics.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember that part of the conversation as well, and it really was profound to me, because I saw myself in that and was so proud of the lady that said that, because that took a lot of courage, I thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so folks, when we get back, we're going to talk about something really important to this whole process, and that's just the emotional piece of it, the psychological piece of it. The needs that we have are not just tangible needs. We have things in our heart, in our soul, in our head that are going to make a difference as we move into aging. And Adrian got some great information regarding that topic from our pre-conference discussion. Remember that you want to learn this early, go forward, and plan ahead. Stay with us.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
I've been shooting since I was young. It's something I've always enjoyed. I wasn't feeling like myself, but my friend noticed. He asked if he could hold onto my guns temporarily. At first, I was a little shocked, but then I agreed. I think he saved my life that day.
This is Bill.
He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare summary notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here talking with Adrienne Cotton today, and we are discussing a pre-conference discussion that was held at the Governor's Conference in 2021, just a month ago, and the great information that came out of that listening session for all of us who are aging, which is all of us. Welcome back, Adrienne, so good to have you. So, given our discussion, now we've talked about a lot of the information that you gleaned from that listening session today, but given our discussion, let's say our overarching theme is really about identifying what's going to help that person live in the community with dignity, with ease, with inclusivity, I mean, whatever it takes to make their life happy. That's what we're trying to, I guess, nail down here. But there's a piece that we might be missing, and I want you to talk a little bit about that, because that was this information I thought was huge.
Excellent. Thank you, Kimmy. You're absolutely right. A couple things I'll recap that you said. Planning ahead and not dissociating yourself from aging is key. We are all aging, and you cannot start planning for the end of your life too early. Many folks offered that neighbors, circle of peers, and senior centers were key elements that allowed them to live at home. And resoundingly, transportation and housing were highlighted as the most dire needs. But finally, as you sort of set the stage for me, understanding what it means to age are key elements that we have not traditionally done a good job of identifying in the Aging Services Network. So one comment I have to highlight while I have the opportunity, Kimmy, because it was so moving for me, was a woman who was joining from her home, and she provided insights throughout the day. She talked about that as professionals in the Aging Network, we must stop to appreciate the actual humans behind this system. She said that at no point in her personal journey, in her aging years, did anyone acknowledge the impact and the losses suffered. So as providers, we're constantly seeking to fill these gaps. So for example, we can talk about how to improve transportation, but we fail to acknowledge the pain and frustration and loss associated with inadequate vision and removal of driving privileges. We can talk about how to incorporate affordable housing, but we have to recognize the difficulty with downsizing and relocating. And we can endeavor to improve our workforce across the state. But we also have to remain cognizant that we're serving people whose arthritis has become so painful that they can't maintain their homes or provide self-care without assistance. So until we recognize both the challenges and the beauty of aging, we're just going to be filling holes and not taking care of the souls who have dedicated a lifetime to improving our Montana communities.
Yeah. So, Adrienne, let's not forget, what if somebody would like to give you some information after they've seen this program and they've thought of something they'd like to discuss with you? What should they do?
Oh, thank you so much, because I would love to hear from more people. This was the best thing I've been able to do in my career in aging services, and I'm dying to hear more. We are going to be compiling this information and performing additional local listening sessions to plan out the next 4 years of aging services development in Montana. And I would love to hear from folks. All you have to do is go to www.m4a.support, reach out. My phone number is listed on there. Email is listed on there. We'd love to hear from you.
And what kind of things do you want to hear about? Because not everybody got the opportunity to be on that great discussion. But what are some of the topics you're interested in?
I want to hear more about the benefits. What are we doing right in the Aging Services Network that is helping people remain independent in their homes? And I also want to hear about the gaps so that we can do a better job. But I want to come back to that woman who really moved me, who also provided where we're missing the human element of this and how to support the people that we're serving.
So what do you think we can do about that? For one thing, a person-centered approach is absolutely necessary in all things like this. And I know that as advocates, we're all moving towards that if we're not there already. But is there anything else?
I think that we need to get down and visit the community centers that are so integral to allowing people to age at home and in their communities. So whether you have elected officials, people like myself who work on systems, sometimes from Helena and not necessarily face-to-face with the people that we're serving, we all need to do a better job of reaching out directly into our community and sitting down with people for a cup of coffee or for a congregate meal at a senior center to talk about what their specific needs are and make sure that we're tailoring our approach to the wide variety of communities that we have across Montana and communicating with the people who make policy decisions how unique their needs are.
Yeah. And I think before we go, we just have a minute left, Adrian, but I wanted to talk one more time about technology and how important it is that we meet people where they are and try to reach out to help them understand. And I'm one of them, so I think it's really, really important.
Absolutely, Kimmy. And I already feel a generational gap. My 17-year-old is constantly trying to teach me how to even use my phone. I can't imagine what it would be like to be in your 60s, 70s, or 80s trying to navigate this. Yeah. But you're right. Access to telehealth is critical, absolutely critical for being able to age in place and in your communities. And we are going to be aggressively pursuing ways to meet people in their homes, engage multi-generational approaches to help people get the training, and then make sure that they have access to just what they need, and not so much that it becomes intimidating, overwhelming, and that people have respect as they learn this new tool.
Adrian, thank you so much for being with us today. I just really enjoyed the pre-conference session and enjoyed your recap of it. Folks, if you have anything, get in touch with Adrian. She's waiting to hear from you. For Aging Horizons, I'm Kimmy Everman.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.